Tuesday night Krug Show brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. Raj is in the house. We got a lot to get to. OTAs, TJ Hushman Zilly, championship. That was a great commercial. His commentary today, not so great. We'll hit that as well. Let's go right now. It's the Krug Show on a Tuesday night. Join us. Away we go. Tuesday night on the Krug Show. Hope everybody's having a great day today. It is May the 27th, 8:27 West Coast, 11:27 East Coast. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. This live stream also is brought to you by our good friends at LearnKey Upskill Academy. It's an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. Whether you're interested in any number of fields, it could be IT, cybersecurity, or a number of high-demand fields. They offer over 30 different certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. They've worked with over 200,000 students over 37 years. They place about 100 students every month in really good paying jobs. So the link's in the description below for sure. Check it out if you're between jobs or just need a little bit more skill to make a few more ducats. Hopefully we can make that happen for you. LearnKey Upskill Academy. And we're also brought to you because you need somewhere to spend that money, and that's Claw Daddy Arcades. And he's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. Find a location near you. He's got 3 down in SoCal, 2 in the Central Valley, and he's got 1 opening here in the Bay Area. So he's all about family-friendly entertainment. Claw Daddy Arcades, once again, at Claw_Daddy_Arcades on IG. Raj, good to see you, man. I like that Niner hat. It looks kind of beige. And the bill, is it orange or red? It's kind of a orangey red, huh?
It's a red, but it's probably the lighting makes it a little bit more orangey. But it's a beige with the orange. Daniel Liu, he's a designer. He's got his own hat label, and these hats are awesome, man. He makes customized. He only makes a certain amount of hats for each colorway, so it's very specific. He doesn't like to oversaturate. He's pretty specific guy, but I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good. It's good to see you today. It's Tuesday.
We got a lot to get to, and we got OTAs on Thursday. I'll be down there in Santa Clara watching that on Thursday. I'm fired up, and we'll get to the OTAs in just a second. But kind of our launch point today is the latest crazy criticism from Brock Purdy. This one coming from TJ Hushmanzada. Former NFL wide receiver with the Bengals. He played at Oregon State. Played only 2 playoff games, lost them both. So I don't know where this guy's coming from. But here he is. Earlier today, TJ Hushmanzada.
I believe they did overpay for Brock Purdy. I would have given Brock Purdy $47 million a year. That would have been the most I'm giving him. We needed you last year. You went 1-6 against playoff teams when we had guys hurt. Christian McCaffrey was out, Trent Williams was out, Aiyuk got hurt, and you couldn't really get it done. I think Brock Purdy is a hell of a quarterback, but I'm not giving you money when you show me when we need you to take over, you can't take over. We need you to carry us, you can't carry us. But at one point, they said Jalen Hurts was overpaid. Now, Jalen Hurts is underpaid. Win a Super Bowl with the Eagles, now you underpaid. And so if Brock Purdy takes the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl and they win it, then his contract is well worth it. Until he does that, he's overpaid.
You're muted.
Muted, Larry.
Sorry about that. He also went on the radio and kind of doubled down on this on 95.7 The Game And, he's like, I love Brock Purdy first. Check the receipts. Okay. Then you're like, the same guy who's like, I loved him first is like saying he's overpaid at $53 million. And, it's like, to me, it's like, if you're going to pay him, you're going to pay him. And if you're not, you're not. The only real compelling argument was to do it or not to do it. So there are some people out that are like, I wouldn't have paid him anything. I wouldn't have extended him. Okay, if you're in that camp, I kind of get it. You don't believe he's worth anything in that neighborhood. It's incredibly negative for a guy who's had pretty good accomplishments, but it's a clear point of view and one I can respect. This guy is like, he's overpaid at $53 million, and then he should make $47 million a year. And when he was asked about why on the radio, he's like, I don't know. It's a lot of money. It's like, what? What? I mean, so no commentary on the market, who got what, where he sits in the market. Just 53 is too much. 47 is what he should have got. Then he insinuated on the radio that his Niners teammates have or will begrudge Brock Purdy his money, which I can guarantee you from being in that room, that is not going to happen. That is totally preposterous. And to throw that out there with absolutely nothing, just other than like your assertion, is just bold and stupid. And then he said they didn't have to pay him. Well, I mean, where has that worked? Where has it worked where you have a franchise quarterback and you're just like, I'm not paying him? Did it work for Dallas when they made Dak wait and eventually paid him through the nose? I mean, and not to mention this guy's a total hypocrite because that if the Niners didn't pay him, that this would be a major story in training camp. And then this guy would go on FS1 or whatever losing platform he's on and say, you know what, this contract holdout has become a distraction. It's like there's no doubt that TJ Houshmandzadeh would have been calling this a contractual distraction if it didn't get done. Now that it gets done, it's like, well, they didn't have to pay him. And then he goes on to say he didn't think they were that bad on defense last year. And it's like, dude, are you even watching the Niners? They were horrible on defense last year. Their defensive coordinator was a train wreck. They had no pass rush in the last 2 months of the year. Devondre Campbell flat sucked, and they plugged him in there and gaslit us and told us he was good for like almost until he basically went AWOL on them. Then he goes on to say Tua had flashes, but Purdy's overrated. And then they asked him about BA because he's BA's trainer. And he's like, they're like, have you talked to BA about this, about Purdy? And he's like, no, we haven't talked at all. So if you haven't talked to BA, so you have it's not like you have any inside sources. You're just kind of spewing. And then they asked him, what's his timetable for returning? And he's like, he won't be out there week 1. No shit, he's not going to be out there week 1. The guy got hurt in like week 7. He tore like 3 different ligaments. Obviously, he's not going to be out there week 1. I mean, for a guy who's probably not going to be out there till like November, I mean, this guy's just all over the map. It was one of the worst radio segments I think I've heard in a long time because it's weird. It was like this guy's got some axe to grind with Purdy, but then just, it was like, it's not like, hey, man, I wouldn't pay this guy at all. I'd pay him hundreds of millions of dollars. I just would have paid him 47, which is in line with nothing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's no marketplace where that makes sense. You could make an argument that Brock Purdy's agent did the Niners a solid by taking Tua and Goff neighborhood money instead of trying to push for more. So, to me, to sit there and be like, oh, he's totally overpaid, but he would have been perfectly paid at 47, just shows no knowledge of what's going on.
TJ, who's your mama? This man pulled numbers out of his ass. That's what he did. He pulled in the most random number, 47. Where are you getting this? He doesn't understand the market value. Like we've sat here, talked about for months, for weeks. Like he is so far behind, and these these media shows, these talk shows, they got to drum up some type of content. The fact he didn't even talk to Brandon Aiyuk, who some people are spinning it as, oh, it's Brandon Aiyuk's wide receiver coach or whatever. It's what a personal coach. It's so that's so trivial. It doesn't even make any difference whether he has any ties with Brandon Aiyuk or not. The fact of the matter is he doesn't know what he's talking about. But TJ Houshmandzadeh, you want to talk about a guy that's overpaid or whatnot. If it wasn't for Chad Ochocinco, he wouldn't even have that big of a career because he was, getting single coverage because your man Ochocinco over there is getting all the big coverage. He was I think he went to one Pro Bowl. He's a journeyman after the Bengals stint, a couple years with the Bengals. Then he was like Seattle, Baltimore. He was a career journeyman. He couldn't stick around. So this guy telling someone that they're overrated and overpaid it's rich coming from TJ, who's your daddy. This is unbelievable. And then to sit there and say, oh, well, yeah, if he wins a Super Bowl, how many top paid quarterbacks have a Super Bowl other than Jalen Hurts? Like, honestly, that list, Josh Allen, if you're going to use that logic, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all these quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow, they're all not worthy of being paid because they haven't
won
won the ultimate game.
Take. It's a dumb take.
It's a dumb
Brock
take.
Purdy, we've sat here and talked about why he's worth it. Like, he's just drumming it up for views, right? Because it's the offseason. And then, like, the thing that kills me is to sit here and say he does, he's not worth it. Brock said it. Look, I'm going to fight for what's mine. Like, I didn't take the big amount of money he probably could have tried for, but he still got what he deserved. This guy is a franchise quarterback. If you're a franchise quarterback, that's the price. Like, I'm sorry that it rubs people the wrong way, but honestly, it's jealousy. I think TJ, who's your mama, is jealous that Brock Purdy's getting that much money because he's the story. Everybody knows the story. I honestly think that TJ's jealous because Brock Purdy's going to make more money than he's ever, looked at in his life. So TJ, he's salty, he's bitter, and it was a stupid take. And to sit there and say that, oh, if he wins the Super Bowl, he'll be worth it. You can sit there and say that about any quarterback. And this man, TJ Houshmandzadeh, look at his playoff stats. What do you have? Like 10 catches?
I mean, he played in 2 playoff games. He never won a playoff game, but he's going to tell us, all about what you need to play quarterback. And the other thing is just, that's just so ridiculous about this. It's just that, Brock Purdy walked off the field in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter and in overtime with a lead. And none of these other quarterbacks have really done that. So there's lots of these quarterbacks. Joe Burrow hasn't won, Josh Allen hasn't won. I mean, we're just using his argument. His argument is they shouldn't have paid him because he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Well, you know what? I mean, then the Eagles never should have paid Jalen Hurts because he won a Super Bowl after they paid him. So should they not have paid him? Or did he just – I mean, he basically – this guy's so all over the map. So then he's like, Jalen Hurts wasn't worth it, and now he is. So it's like he's very bottom line oriented. Yeah. I just would like him to be consistent like anybody else. Show me that consistency. So Josh Allen sucks. So Joe Burrow sucks. And Lamar Jackson sucks. None of these guys that are all overpaid pieces of shit that never should have been paid because they haven't won a Super Bowl. That's your take? I mean, is that real? We're supposed to believe that's your take. If that is your take, then I can't help you. And it's like it's sad. He's on this FS1 show. It's probably going under, and he's probably under a lot of pressure to say a bunch of stupid shit. But I mean, my goodness, that's at least make a point. There's ways to make a point that you're not right, but at least you could stand on your thoughts. How do you make a point like this when there's so many other candidates that you're praising? And then he's basically saying Tua's shown flashes. What's Brock Purdy done then? Brock Purdy's gone to a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy beat the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions and outplayed Jordan Love and Jared Goff in the rain, by the way. All these people are like, well, what if it rains? It's like, he can't do it in the rain. He already did it in the rain, moron. He did it in the rain against the Lions. I mean, this idea that Brock Purdy can't play in the rain, what was that? That was the NFC title game on the, from behind, down 10 in the fourth quarter in the rain. So, I mean, it's just some of these guys are just absolute. They just don't think. They just talk. And it was the saddest radio segment. Mark Willard is buddies with TJ Houshmandzadeh. They did segments together at Fox Sports Radio. He's trying, like, desperate to throw this guy a life preserver so he could save himself, and he just sounded like a total blubbering fool. So there you go, TJ Houshmandzadeh, our moron of the day. And I don't know what to say other than, if you don't like Brock Purdy because he hasn't won a Super Bowl, well, Jesus, you're really putting an awful lot on, like, a play here or a play there. You do realize this guy was, like, literally a play or two away from winning the Super Bowl against the great Mahomes. on a day where his defense didn't really play that great, in the second half. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's very frustrating. It's
crazy.
It's typical. I know I want to talk Brock Purdy. I know I want to talk the Niners. I don't want to rip Shanahan. I don't want to rip Lynch. I mean, think about that. Think about that as a premise. If you want to rip the Niners and be critical of the Niners without blaming Shanahan or Lynch at all, and yet how many relatively big name guys in the NFL media try to do that on a regular basis. Yeah. We're going to rip the Niners while telling everybody that Shanahan's awesome and Lynch is the best. That's the architect. That's the head coach. That's the brain trust. That's the regime. Good, bad, or otherwise. They get credit for the good. They get blamed for the bad. It's all on their watch. It's all on their record. You can't say the Niners are crap, the Niners are this, the Niners aren't that, the Niners have missed in too many picks, but then Brock Purdy's the problem. Well, the problem is they're paying Brock Purdy. No, the problem is they've missed on, 20 picks since 2017. That's the problem. Brock Purdy is not drafting, and he's not responsible for that. So
you're right. And there's so much more to it. So, and like if you mentioned, okay, the show might be doing bad or they're pressure, there's a reason why they might be doing bad. If you watch that clip, that is your reason. So be better, watch the games. I don't even think they understand, like you said, the defense has been, they said the defense was okay and this and that. They don't know 49ers football. If your comment and your biggest takeaway is, oh, Brock Purdy's terrible and he couldn't lead the team because of, okay, he killed himself in his own argument. He said CMC's hurt, Trent Williams hurt, right? All these guys were hurt. Like, okay, yes, I know injuries are not an excuse, but and when your star players are hurt, it is going to be difficult to win games. So he was so stupid in saying all that. Oh yeah, well you had CMC down and Trent Williams. Most teams would have a hard time, going above and beyond and trying to get and will a victory, right? And it wasn't just that. There's special teams. There's other reasons, but Brock Purdy is the person that the NFL just loves to pick on. They want to kick dirt on him for whatever reason. I guess they can't get past the 7th round label. But if he didn't win a Super Bowl, right, and he's gotten close, there's so many other players in the NFL that have never won a Super Bowl that are great. Dan Marino, Warren Moon. Like you're going to sit there and say they don't deserve the accolades they've gotten. It's a double standard. Joe Burrow, he gets a pass. This team was absolutely terrible. But yeah, he kind of helped them kind of climb out of the mud when it was too little too late last season. But there's so many players in this league that get a pass and they're not Brock Purdy. But if it happens to them, well, it's because of this, that, the other. Brock Purdy, it's because of Brock Purdy. So I don't like it. TJ Hushmanzada was a horrible take. And you know what? He got what he wanted. We're talking about his take today. So for once in the last 3 months, I've made Fox Sports 1 relevant for the first time.
Well, and it's what's really frustrating about it is guys like that, set it up so they're going to win either way. If the 49ers lose games, they're losing, and Brock Purdy is responsible. You heard it. He blamed Brock for last year. The Niners lost games. He put that on Brock. That's on Brock. And that's how he wants to roll with it. It's like when they lose, it's on him. And if they win, it's because he's got all this great talent around him. But here's the stat that no one brings up. Brock Purdy with the 49ers has missed 3 games. The Niners are 0-3 and have been outscored 116-41 without Brock Purdy. NFC Championship game against the Eagles. The Niners had run the table in the second half of the year, rampaged in the playoffs. Were ready to knock off the Eagles, in my opinion, in the playoffs. Brock gets knocked out. They get trounced 31-7. Josh Johnson wets his pants. Then last year, Green Bay, Brandon Allen doesn't have it, 38-10. They lose to the Packers. And then last year, 47-24, Josh Dobbs loses to the Cardinals. So it's like everybody talks about Brock Purdy ain't this, Brock Purdy ain't that. Look at the Niners without Brock Purdy. They suck. 0-3, outscored 116-41 without him. By the way, what was his college team like? He led them to multiple bowl games and had a better than 500 record in the conference, I believe, every year as the starter. The first year he jumped to the NFL, Matt Campbell's still there. They go 1-8 inside the conference. So, you know what? Brock Purdy's pretty damn good. And when he wasn't there in Ames at Iowa State, even with Matt Campbell, one of the best coaches in college football, they sucked. And the 49ers, without him, look awful. So, I don't know. Maybe everybody ought to pump the brakes on the Brock Purdy. He's the problem. What did we see last year? This is what we saw last year. He had the 6th highest time to throw of any quarterback, 2.93 seconds last season. But the 9th highest pressure rate, 36.9%. And what it really indicates is that he held the ball too long last year. And maybe it was Shanahan's doing, not calling enough screen passes, not having enough, self-directed quick game, not trying to get him in a rhythm quicker at the line of scrimmage, maybe making him focus on the shorter routes and the intermediate routes. Purdy is also partly at fault. He was slow to get through his progressions last year. He admitted it the other day. I thought he kind of said that. He's like, I looked at the film last year and I didn't get my eyes across the field as fast as I can and as I should. He said that. And then he says sometimes, it's because he's trying to make a play. We know he didn't hold the ball for no reason. He's not holding the ball because he doesn't like winning. He's holding the ball to try to free up Aiyuk and Debo and JJ and all their other receivers to try to make plays down the field. And he was looking and hunting the chunk play. And I think, Raj, if there's one thing that I think Brock Purdy's going to do more this year, I think he's going to get to the top of his drop, and I think that ball's going to come out. I think he's going to play with a greater rhythm, maybe a greater urgency, and a faster walk through the progressions. And I don't think you're going to see him hold the ball as long as he did last year, as often as he did last year, searching for the big chunk play. I think he's going to take, the old saying, you can't go broke making a profit, right? You just keep 7 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards, 7 yards. Just keep, the aggressiveness up. Keep getting the ball out of your hands and figure out a rhythm, because there's no question he lost rhythm this last year. And once you lose rhythm, it's hard to regain it.
Yeah, no, I think definitely. And I said it last week when we talked that Brock still has a lot to prove. Like, I know I sit here defended him tonight, and I think we all should, but he wasn't without flaws. Like you said, he held the ball a lot, but I think also, his decision-making, we talked about that fourth quarter, but I think the biggest difference is one thing that TJ Houshmandzadeh mentioned is they didn't have CMC. That's a big part of Brock Purdy's offense, the check down and this and that, and to kind of open it up. CMC just changes the offense, the whole complexion of the offense. If he could be healthy, it's going to change it out. And not only that, the wide receivers last year were banged up. Brandon Aiyuk, Debo Samuel, they couldn't separate, when they got hurt. Jennings was fantastic, but he's still not that big-time boundary receiver. He played amazing. I think he's going to continue to play amazing. He's contract here, but that was the other issues. These receivers weren't separating. Ricky Broussard didn't come in until midseason, and he was trying to learn the ropes after all the adversity he, went through. And Jacob Cowing was a rookie, and he was still trying to go through his growing pain. So you got to understand, last year, too, the receivers, they weren't at the echelon we thought they were going to be, So that is another factor. So hopefully those receivers can get open. And that's one of the reasons he was holding the ball, because these guys couldn't get open. And then, the offensive line was caving in, and then he was making hero ball passes. So there was a lot of reasons why he struggled. But definitely, I think Brock knows he didn't play, like a $53 million quarterback. And he knows he can do better. And I think this offseason he's going to attack it. He already has. They're hungry. He's working with Ricky. He's working with, the team already before minicamp and OTAs. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. So if you can improve that, I think the team's going to score more. And also, red zone was anemic last year. If you can fix the red zone, you'll have a better chance. And special teams put them in bad positions. Special teams was bad. The defense couldn't, get turnovers, and the run defense was getting ran through. So all those factors led to the 49ers offense being in bad positions throughout the game. So if all of those factors can change, then it's going to be a better team. And I think Brock Purdy knows he has to prove that he's worth all that money. So I think people will be surprised this year. The people that are doubting him are going to be very surprised. Oh, wow, Brock's back to those first 2 years, So we'll see.
49ers have roughly $40 million in available cap room. Should they spend some of it? Almost every year I can think of, the 49ers have signed somebody in this window after the draft and before training camp. So I do expect them to sign somebody to add to this roster. What do you think? I mean, there's a lot of people advocating for a lot of things. The Draft Network today is saying that the Niners, in their minds, should go sign Julian Blackmon, the safety from the Colts, with the injury to Malik Mustafa. There's been other people advocating that the Niners need to go after a receiver, and the names thrown out are Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, Keenan Allen. I've thrown out the name Malachi Corley. This week I did a video advocating for Trey Hendrickson. Asante Samuel Jr. is the kind of playmaker I would love to see them at as a corner. And I'd be all ears if the Colts are going to get rid of Anthony Richardson at any point. I would be interested in Anthony Richardson as a longtime backup, I don't know, red zone specialist. The guy's 6'4", 240, and he runs 4.4. To me, it seems like you can find some use for him on the goal line and in the red zone. That's a guy I'd like to add. What do you think, Raj? If you could add a piece, what piece would you want to add? Is there somebody out there that you think, man, that would be a really, really nice addition?
Okay, well, I mean, going off the list you gave me, first off,
it doesn't have to be my guys. You can go off your own. I mean,
please don't break. What I'm going to say is, don't give me Anthony Richardson. Please stay away from him.
You don't want it, Richardson.
No. Trey Hendrickson, I know you talked about him. You vouched for him. You made a video. You talked to me before this. I mean, obviously, that's the home run move we all want to see. The 17.5 sacks led the league last year. This guy's steadily gotten better through his career. He's 30. He's still, peak powers. Him and Bosa and Michael would be fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's the most unrealistic one, although I would love it. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. I want Amari Cooper on the 49ers. You need a veteran receiver. You need to bridge the gap until Aiyuk comes back. Who knows when he's coming back? We talked about it, right? Receiver's still a question mark. I go Amari Cooper, man. I think he's definitely not what he was, a couple years, but I still think he could give us at least one good year, or at least half a season until Brandon Aiyuk comes back. So I wouldn't hate it. I love Keenan Allen, but I don't know if he's still going to be able to separate like he did. I mean, either one of those two guys I'd be super happy for. They're two really good veterans in the league that have proved it time and time again. And then the other guy, Julian Blackmon, because we definitely need safety help. Like Jair Brown, is he going to be able to rebound from last year's down year? All the hype and pressure, just was too much for him. And then, again, Mustafa, we all want him back. We all expect him to be good. But when's he come back, right? That's a big question. So getting a veteran like Blackmon would probably be good. They did it a couple years ago when they got Gibson, and he was a home run pick. So maybe they can, strike gold again with getting a veteran safety like Blackmon. So if I had to choose anybody that's out there, give me Blackmon, give me Amari Cooper. Stay away from Asante Samuel. He's got a neck injury. Please, I love him. He's talented. But neck injuries are pretty rough to deal with. I wouldn't want that.
It's a little bit of a risk there. The Hendrickson thing is like, let's see. I want to see the Niners be consistent. They came in telling us they wanted to build a great defensive line, and then they tried to build a great defensive line. They had D Ford and Bosa. They got close. Then they tried for Hargrave, and Hargrave was just the wrong guy. He wasn't good against the run. They had to pay him too much money. I don't know if they got the most motivated Hargrave. I feel like maybe the money took away some of his motivation. I don't know, but he wasn't great. He definitely was not great. But I look at Hendrickson, and I just think this guy is just the real deal. 17.5 sacks the last 2 years. He plays in a 4-3 front. One area that the Niners struggled badly last year was pass rush. They finished the year tied for 23rd in the NFL with only 37 sacks. They were tied for 17th in quarterback knockdowns, 27th in quarterback hurries, 27th in quarterback pressures. Here's the thing. They got a really good team right now, and they've got a quarterback, and they've got a head coach, and they've got an easy schedule, and they might be able to pile up a big win total and maybe even get home field if they play their cards right. I understand this guy is going to cost you, but the rumor I saw said the Niners would get Trey Hendrickson in a 6th for next year's 2nd and 2 4th-round picks, and the Niners have 3 4th-round picks in next year's draft. To me, I would do that. That's to me. I don't want to trade my first, and I don't like trading tons of picks. But the Niners have absolutely screwed up 10 third-round picks, and we sit there and go, "Man, the Rams got it done." Well, how did the Rams get it done? The Rams, go look at the Rams draft history in the early days of Les Snead. He struck out on a lot of picks too. And he is a really good GM. So what did they do? They're like, screw this. We're going veterans. Give us Stafford. Give us Ramsey. Let's go after, some veterans. And they brought in some veteran players, and they got them over the top. I'm not a big fan for selling out for veterans, but Hendrickson opposite Bosa at this point, I think would be a spectacular addition. And to me, that would be the perfect guy because Mikael Williams – I think could be a real dynamic player used all over the formation. And if you could go at times Mikael Williams, pick your other defensive tackle, and then Bosa and Hendrickson off the edges. I just think Trey Hendrickson, and here's the other real reason. I'm reading what everybody else is reading. Green Bay has interest. Detroit has interest. Philly has interest. Kansas City has interest. The Rams supposedly have interest. I really don't want to see Trey Hendrickson opposite, Fisk and Verse, in L.A. I mean, that could swing the same way McCaffrey could swing the division a couple years ago. This kind of guy at 17.5 sacks could swing the division. I agree. I don't want to pay a ton, and I wouldn't give a first-round pick. But if I could get him for a second, what I think is going to be a late second, and 2 fourths, and I already have another fourth, Hendrickson and Bosa, I think can. The other thing, Raj, is the Niners have so many young defensive backs in their back seven. I mean, when I'm looking at this defense, Lenore is the veteran, but he was in the 21 draft. He's relatively young. Green's relatively young. Mustafa's relatively young. Jair Brown's young. Luter's young. Upton Stout, Siegel, those guys are rookies. They got a lot of youth. This Jacob Robinson from BYU, is a rookie, obviously. They got a lot of young DBs. And if you want to get the most out of your young DBs, you put on a pass rush. And you said you think that's the least likely. Is the bigger issue for you the compensation in draft capital, or is it in the contract that probably is going to be around $30 million?
Yeah, I think it's the money, the contract. I don't think the 49ers care about, the draft compensation. I think if they really wanted him, they're going to do it because you're right. He's the type of guy that's going to swing the NFC West. And shit, if the Rams get him, Larry, you just give him the NFC West.
Isn't it worth considering just for the block?
No, 100%.
If you thought the Rams were going to do it?
No, 100%. I love the theory. And of course, all the contenders are going to want to get him. And I think the Lions are kind of front running right now. You got Hutchinson coming back, but how healthy is he after that nasty injury last year? So getting Hendrickson would be smart for them. So honestly,
I also love the motor. To me, I don't want to bring any guy into the room anymore, Raj, who doesn't. Especially after Chase Young.
Like Hargrave. Yeah, I don't want another.
I don't want to bring in any more guys that have kind of iffy motors. The only guys I want to bring in free agency, veteran guys, are guys that absolutely, undeniably play with their freaking hair on fire. And I feel like this guy does.
I think he'd be motivated. Obviously he wants to play for money. If you're going to get money, you got to earn that shit. Yeah. But I just don't see it because of the contract. And again, I would be floored if they got him. I think Bosa and Hendrickson and then Mikael Williams learning from them, it'd be amazing. Obviously. And this defense, to me, the biggest question mark right now, I know everybody's going to say the O-line. I'm making a video for one of my sponsors, and this week is what is the biggest question mark you have for the 49ers? And to me, it's not even the O-line. It's the youth of this defense. They're going to have 5 to 6 starters that are rookies, Larry. And that to me is the big concern because, yeah, we're hyped up. If this draft class hits like last year, fantastic. Chef's kiss. But they're going to go through growing pains. After 12 games, you hit that rookie wall. How can, are they going to be able to make it through that stretch run with all these rookies? I think they're going to be great. We have high hopes for CJ West. We have high hopes for everybody else. Upton Stout, right? We have so much high hopes for these guys. They're going to get a lot of reps and snaps, and that's great. But at the same time, you do want to have one stud in there, which, that's a veteran, a couple years older. They got Bosa, they got Fred Warner. Those are going to be the captains. I wouldn't hate it. But again, money to me is going to be an issue. And I think the other issue is the 49ers, they said they want to get young, and they do want the draft picks because they are trying to fix this draft cap, the dead cap that they've had over the last years. And that's, I told you behind the scenes before we started this, I said one thing is the 49ers, I think they're using this year as a cap relief season. Like, hey, we got to shed the dead cap. And if this strategy of going young and trying to win with a young team, because again, easy schedule, they should be able to win 10 games with a very young roster and then see where you go from there. If it doesn't pan out, then I think next year you're going to be like, oh, you know what? We got to go back to spending money. So I just don't think it aligns with their goals this season of how they want to construct their roster. But if it push comes to shove and they're like, oh, dude, maybe we got to get them, I would love it. I just don't think it fits their roster construction this year. Next year, though,
my fear is that Jed has got cold feet, that he spent money on Hargrave. It didn't work out, and now he's got cold feet. If Jed's got cold feet on spending, they're screwed.
Yeah. I don't think they do, though. I
don't think so either, because they've spent on other guys. But, I mean, let's see what happens with Trey Hendrickson. But if this guy is out there and available, this is a difference maker, man. And this guy this guy's got a motor that probably would make Nick Bosa's motor look kind of like a low rev motor. So there's very few guys that I actually
spending a lot of money this year.
There's very few guys though that I would actually, say, go and add dollars. Like the receiver I'd like to see him add is like a Malachi Corley. And some of these other, because he's on a rookie contract. I don't want to spend veteran millions, but if I could find a young player that was cut somewhere else that I had a really good grade on in the draft, and maybe he was in one of the last couple drafts, and this guy comes free, I'm just suggesting Corley because I'm hearing that he could get cut with the Jets, but it could be any number of guys. If there's a player that you really liked in the draft process this summer, and that guy gets cut, I'd love to see them pounce. Brandon Aiyuk, according to Matt Miyoko, he's likely to begin the year on the PUP list. That's not a surprise to anybody. He tore the ACL, the PCL, or the ACL, the MCL, and the meniscus, all in the knee. When do you think he is likely to return? If you had to, I know, Raj, I'm asking you to be a doctor, and I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but you know what I'm saying. It's like you've seen people talk about it. I mean, TJ Hushmanzada supposedly knows him well, and he's like, he should be back. He won't be there for week 1. It's like, tell us something that's concrete. That's not a real report. A real report is like Halloween. I think that would be a real, to me, like a real optimistic report would be he's back by Halloween.
Yeah, I think week 8, 9 is kind of where I pegged him in mid-season somewhere between 7 and 9, somewhere around there. If we're being, realistic with the way the injury was, when it happened in the season. And also, too, I think that he wants to make sure he gets through all his checkpoints in the recovery. And I'm sure if he rushed it, he could come back a little bit before that after the first 4 weeks. But you start on the PUP, you got 4 weeks, then you got the 21-day window. That if all goes well, the 4 plus the 3, that's 7 weeks. So that takes you to about 8, 9. I feel like roughly around that point of the season, as long as everything's, healing right and he's going through all his check boxes, I think we expect him back week 8, 9. I feel like that's kind of where the return is mid-season. So that's why if you get a veteran, you want a guy to bridge the gap for the first 2 months of the season. I think that's more realistic. I mean, it could be longer than that, but I feel like the most optimistic, realistic timeline to me, just based on the injury and my history with it, it'd be like week 8, 9-ish. That's kind of what I feel.
Well, that would be that, we'll see how that goes. I mean, so that means that they're going to have to find an offensive rhythm in the first half of the year and win games without Brandon Aiyuk or Debo. And that's going to be a real challenge. And somebody's going to have to step up. And maybe it's Cowing, maybe it's Pearsall, maybe it's Jennings, maybe it's a tight end. Maybe they throw it to the running backs more.
CMC, man, that's the key.
Yeah, maybe CMC. Maybe you throw it to CMC out of the backfield.
We're good. And
I'd like to see them throw more screen passes. I feel like the Niners have gone away from the screen, and they have the ultimate screen back. The one thing about CMC is he gives Brock not just an option underneath, but a guy that he wants to get the ball to underneath. And I almost feel like that is what Brock needs, because I think Brock is so predisposed to want to drive it down the field that having CMC in the flat actually makes him take another extra second to look at the flat because he sees the big play potential. There's a really – well, first of all, before we get to this article, this week is OTAs.
Yeah.
And I did a video about this today, what I'm looking forward to watching this week at OTAs. And it's blowing up. I mean, the video is actually really blowing up today. I mean, much more than I even thought. Very, very surprised by that. But yeah, I mean, it's got like over 7,000 views. We just put this thing out 5 hours ago.
Wow.
What are you looking for this week, Raj? I've got a couple real specific things I'm looking for. What are you looking for out of these OTAs? Is there anything specific?
I mean, OTAs, it's cool to see them back, obviously, just to see everybody there. I want to make sure, I want to see, a couple weeks ago during minicamp, we saw the reports that everybody's back. I want to see Trent Williams there. I want to see Nick Bosa, out there. I want to see what they're looking like. I want to see that Nick Bosa and Mykel Williams, talking shop, because we want to see what Mykel Williams is talking about, how Bosa's been mentoring him. I want to kind of see that aspect of it. I want to see these young receivers, Jacob Cowing and Ricky Purcell. How are they looking in year 2, right? We're counting on them. We just talked about wide receivers, talked about Brandon Aiyuk missing some time. So who's going to step up? I want to see Jennings. I want to see Isaiah Nair. I want to see these rookies. How do they look in comparison to the other D linemen on the team already? So the rookies, obviously we talked about CMC. We want to make sure he looks, vibrant and healthy. We didn't get to see that last year, right? We want to see our star players looking like our star players. So I think obviously those are the big, tickets that I want to see. And then of course, Brock Purdy, we want to see, how is he looking? He's QB1. Now he's got the big money. How is he looking out there? I kind of want to see all those things. But just also to know that everybody's back and nobody's holding out. I kind of want to, I'm very excited of that notion. Like, wow, the whole team is there. Nobody's holding out. You got the rookies and the vets. Nobody's like bigger than the team this year. I really am excited to see that.
The Niners are among 20 teams, by the way, that began phase 3 of the OTAs today. NFL teams are allowed to hold up to 10 days of OTAs, organized team activities. The live contact between players during these practices is prohibited. So you don't see that. They do go 7-on-7. Little 9-on-7, 11-on-11 drills are allowed, but there's no contact at all. So and it's voluntary. This is a voluntary phase of the offseason. Niners will conclude their offseason program with a mandatory minicamp. That's scheduled for June 10th and 11th. Following that, the team's going to break until the start of training camp in mid to late July. So, very interesting week. A couple things I'm looking for. I thought last year what really struck me the most at OTAs when we talked to Kyle Shanahan was just how tired Kyle Shanahan appeared to be, and how tired John Lynch appeared to be when they talked to us for the first time in the OTAs and at the beginning of training camp last summer. This was the beginning of a ridiculous, grueling grind, and these guys sounded exhausted. I thought Shanahan specifically sounded just a lot of sighs, a lot of, he really seemed like he was tired. And I don't know. I mean, everybody always takes pictures of his first year and how he's aged and this and that. Oh, my God, Kyle Shanahan has aged terribly and this and that. And it's all true. But I thought last year was the first time that I really felt like he seemed kind of, I don't want to say unenthused, but it was like a low ebb, a low energy. Like they seemed exhausted by what was about to take place. Like their offseason had not been long enough. Like the Super Bowl hangover was still weighing on them. Like they knew, we got a nightmarish situation coming up here with Aiyuk. We have a tough situation with Trent. This is all before all the tragedies and before Ricky got shot and all that. I just felt like Shanahan seemed just totally and utterly gassed. He just was like, and you can't be totally and utterly gassed at the beginning of a marathon and expect to be there at the end. And they weren't there at the end. So to me, that's the first thing. And I don't know why he was like that last year. I don't know if it was the holdouts that were looming or if it was
Losing the Super Bowl.
the lack of, losing the Super Bowl and the weight of that, or the lack of off time or the rest situation. I mean, this is a team that canceled their joint practices with the Saints because they didn't have enough guys. And it just felt at that point almost like, like the Niners were not really bringing momentum. It didn't feel like they entered last year with momentum, even though they beat the Jets soundly in week 1. It just didn't feel like they entered the season with much momentum. And I thought Shanahan and Lynch both appeared to be kind of like just wiped. And so I'll be looking for, when these guys talk to us, do they sound re-energized? Do they sound refocused? Do they sound excited and eager for the year ahead? That's number one. Number two, I want to see some electricity in some of these weapons. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Pearsall or Cowing, if it's, really who it is. Jordan James, Corey Kiner. It doesn't matter to me exactly who it is, but it could be, Isaiah Nair. It could be Junior Bergen, Jordan Watkins, Mason Pline. I want to see some juice out of these weapons. I felt like the Niners last year took them so many plays to score because they didn't have that big play ability. And I want to see some big play ability. I want to see some guys who can stretch the field, some running backs who can make big plays. I want to see some juice. I want to see Garendo. I want to see some big plays. I want to see some excitement and some speed out of their weapons. That's one thing for sure. And then also, of course, the defense. You got so many rookies. Is it realistic that 5 or 6 rookies could start? Okay. But then I want to see, are those guys have the kinds of bodies to play an NFL season? I know Mikael Williams does. I know CJ West does. But, does Nick Martin? Does Siegel? Does Upton Stout? Do these guys have the kind of bodies that can stand up to, 20 games? Because that's what you play in the NFL. So
Alfred Collins, another guy.
Alfred Collins. Yeah, I mean,
big guy.
Can the rookies stand up? Do they look like they've got the body type to play the full year? Do the weapons look explosive? I'm eager to see the energy of Lynch and Shanahan. And I kind of want to see, what Mac Jones and Tanner Mordecai and the non-Brock Purdy quarterbacks look like in this camp too, because Mac Jones is better than Dobbs. He's better than Brandon Allen. He's better than the backups they've had. And Tanner Mordecai, after a year in the system, I'm eager to see what he looks like. And they're, they've been talking up Rourke. So I'm eager to see what these quarterbacks look like behind Purdy because, it would be a great thing if the 49ers, how are the Niners going to accelerate their rebuild and reset and get that Super Bowl? The fastest way they're going to do it is if they somehow hit on Rourke or Jones or Mordecai, and those guys play well, and some team comes asking for them in a trade. And,
that'd be fantastic.
If Tanner Mordecai looks great, and Curtis Rourke really looks promising, and Mac Jones has a good preseason, you could easily, the Colts have Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. They could easily call and say, hey, we'll give you a 4th-round pick for Mac Jones. He had a great preseason. Our guys are struggling. So I think it's possible. I think the Niner quarterbacks are going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. It's always fun to watch the quarterback room. And you're right. There's new quarterbacks this year to kind of pique our interest. Because last year, right, Josh Dobbs, Mordecai, and now it's always interesting to see the backup. No matter what, even though we have 49er, a franchise quarterback talk's always going to be fun for the 49ers, no matter what. Now we got to see who the heck's QB2. Just like last year, who's going to be QB2? So that'll be another story. One thing we didn't talk about, Jake Moody. I'm excited to see Jake Moody and Greg Joseph, the kicker comp. I don't know how much they're going to put into it in OTAs, but as this next couple of months go by, I'm very intrigued. We got a new special teams coach, or we know Brant Boyer, right? He said he's bringing in a veteran. You got Kenny the kicker who did tryouts. I don't know if he's still going to be around, but this is intriguing to me. The kicker competition. There's a report from Vic Tarfer today. I think we're going to hit about that. How Jake Moody's changed his approach to kicking, right? He's 2-stepping instead of 3-stepping, something like that. I'm intrigued by that. And also, we didn't talk about it. The energy, you talk about the energy. Yeah, last year was terrible. Last Super Bowl, everybody's hungover. Everybody's, pissed off. We had injuries, contract. There was a dark cloud, which I keep talking about. Robert Saleh's back, man. Robert Saleh's back. That is who we needed. Like, I'm excited to see how this defense responds to Big Bob and his energy. So that's something we need to talk about. I'm hyped up to see that. And yes, the kicker competition might be the best competition we might have had in years. We talked about Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo a couple years ago. Get ready for the kicker competition. We went from QB controversy to kicker controversy, Larry.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about this one, but there's a great article in The Athletic today by Vic Tafur on Jake Moody. And, he wasn't comfortable blaming the ankle injury for his struggles. So it wasn't like, oh, well, I just had the injury last year. So he changed his whole approach, and he took his approach from 3 steps before the kick to 2 steps. So he missed 9 of 20 field goal attempts over the last 9 games. And the Niners brought in Greg Joseph to compete with him. Brant Boyer seems like he's really expecting Moody to bounce back and really wishing for it. He said there isn't a special teams coach in this league that didn't have him rated number 1 coming out of Michigan. This is what he said to us a couple weeks ago. He said, if that kid gets his mind right, which I think he's doing, I think he'll do a heck of a job for us. I really do. So he's making it seem like it's a mental thing. Yeah. Moody did have kind of 2 years last year. He was 13 of 14, and then he had a bad ankle sprain in the Arizona game. And he missed 3 games, and the Niners backup kickers came in and went 5 for 5, and then they kind of rushed him back. And I interviewed him the day before, or the week, 2 days before his first game back, and he's like, yeah, I don't have any pain except I have pain right on my kicking spot. And I thought to myself, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound good. But the Niners brought him back, and he just said after the injury, he said, I lost my rhythm. He said, I lost the rhythm that I was in. Once you lose the rhythm, it's tough to get back into it. He missed 3 kicks in his first game back, 2 out of 3 in week 13. In week 17, when they lost to the Lions, he missed 2 field goals and a PAT. So, and this year he says, I got a 1-kick mentality. It's always going to be about the next kick. He says he's been kicking the ball really well. He's in a good headspace. So I guess this started, Raj, back in March, when Jake Moody went out to the practice fields in Naples, Florida, with his longtime kicking coach Brandon Kornblue, and I guess the two of them have been together since Jake Moody was in middle school, and so they instead of just doing the regular contact, kicking field goal drills, they started tweaking his stance and how far back he was from the ball, and then got rid of the jab step, the 3rd step, and he says. Kornblue says that most young kickers use 3 steps. About half of the kickers use 2 in the NFL. That it takes a little bit away from your power, but you trade power for accuracy, and supposedly you're more accurate. And I guess Moody also talked to Robbie Gould, who agreed that the change made some sense. So Gould is definitely one of his mentors. And Robbie said, Jake said, I felt like I had some inconsistencies with my first jab step. So I figured if I just get rid of that step altogether and I just take 2 steps instead of 3, it's less room for error. And then he says, there are some things that technically you have to adjust, or that's what Kornblue said. He says, you do lose a little bit of power. How much varies from guy to guy. But it does improve your consistency and your accuracy. And he says that Moody's still kicking the ball 65 yards, 70 yards. Moody has more time, he says, to see the ball because it's snapped, and he has less movement in his walk up with the 1 less step. So he's got maybe better sight of the football. That could be it. He said that he's only losing about a yard or 2 in distance from going from 3 steps to 2 steps. So it hasn't cost him a lot of distance. So we'll see. It's hard to say if this is going to work or not, if this is going to be a good thing or not. It's funny. He said, Moody won the Lou Groza Award at Michigan, but the year before that, he had a really bad year. And then he comes out the next year and wins the Lou Groza Award. And so the Niners have brought in Joseph Raj, who's played for 6 teams. He's made 116 out of 141 field goal attempts. Also, they have John Weeks, who's their new long snapper. And Boyer thinks that's a big deal. He said adding weeks is a big deal for Jake. That total operation being smooth and everything like that will certainly help the kid for sure. So we'll see. The Niners, by the way, Jake Moody's only the second kicker drafted in the first 3 rounds in the last 19 years.
It's a lot of pressure.
So rare.
It's mental. I think that is the biggest issue. Like, the injury may have impacted. Obviously, injury impacted. You got pain at the kicking side. That's not a good thing. But I think a lot of it's mental because he did start strong. And then, I feel like injury and then the negativity, the backlash. There's been backlash the moment he was drafted. And I think that pressure's got to him. But, hey, whatever he did, if it fixes his game, great. I don't care if you have to take 20 steps, 10 steps, 1 step, Larry, kick the ball and make it. That's all we care about. And this competition, it's going to bring out the best in somebody. If he can't beat out Greg Joseph, so be it. I'm not rooting for anybody in particular, but I want the 49ers to be able to make kicks because last year, like if some people say, it's a kicker, they lost a lot of games because they missed field goals. And not only that, their red zone was so bad. And they missed kicks, and that was free points that they, took off the board. If their red zone struggles at points and you need to make points and that's your way of scoring, you need to be able to be reliable. A couple years back, Robbie Gould was their offense and they would kick field goals and that was it. And, they were able to keep them in games because of the defense. And if that's the case again this year, you better make the damn kicks because if you lose a 2-score game because you missed a kick, you're going to be pissed off. So whoever wins, I don't care. Just make your kicks.
Before we get to our supers, we got 4 or 5 supers. I want to play this one off your Twitter. Raj is a great follow on X at RSF49ers. And this is Kay Adams sitting down with Mikael Williams.
To that room.
And then Mikael Williams is in full uniform with pads. What is going on here?
So real quick, they were at she did this interview, but she didn't post it till today. She was at the NFL rookie experience last week, the NFL premier experience where they have a bunch of rookies invited, like the most popular rookies, first rounders. They're there. Panini sponsored it, NFLPA, NFL Network. She was there filming content and stuff, but now she's back and she was able to post all her content she did. So this is why he's in there because he was after this. He did like video shoots and photo shoots in his uniform for Panini. They make rookie cards and stuff like that.
Mikael looks good in the uni. Let's see what he had to say about Brock Purdy.
Brock just got paid. That's fine, but
thank God.
It's over. It's over. What do you mean, thank God?
Man, we need Brock. Brock's the guy. I believe in Brock Purdy.
Can we talk about that? Why? Why do you believe in Brock Purdy?
Well, he's done it. Like he's went to a Super Bowl. He's shown that he can take the team to that realm. So why not pay him? Why not believe in him?
You believe in him. Brock just got paid.
I love that kid, man. Thank God. Thank God. That's the right way. That's your starting quarterback. That's my starting quarterback. I love it, man. I love that Mikael's like, yeah, man. I love that guy. That's beautiful.
The rookie's smarter than TJ Hushmanzada, they said.
Yeah. TJ Hushmanzada is probably best known for that fantasy football commercial where the guy's like, TJ Hushmanzilli championship. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember. That was a good commercial.
That was a great commercial. That was a fantastic commercial. So, Raj, if I'm looking at your Twitter, what has popped off for you this week? What's been really big? Is there
honestly
anything?
Not much. I've been kind of like I said. I took a few days. It was Memorial Day. I actually wasn't on my phone this weekend. It was great. Did a lot of fun. Went to movies. Did this. Did a little bit of that. Honestly, really the best content was when Fred Warner and Brock Purdy signed their contracts. I wasn't really. It's the off season. I like to take some time off to take some social media breaks. So honestly, this week I didn't really post much, Larry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, that's what I love about you, Raj. You don't tell. You'll never tell a lie. You won't tell a lie. A couple quick hitters on your way out the door. Starter at right guard or at left guard for the Niners. Right guard, is it going to be Dom Pooney again, or is Dom going to move to left guard? We're going to see Connor Colby at right guard. Who do you think ultimately is the new starter at guard?
I think it's Connor Colby, man. I think he's going to win that competition because I don't think Ben Barch is going to be able to stay healthy this offseason or through training camp. I really see Connor Colby. He's a rookie, but he's an older rookie, if it makes sense, right? He's been in a team and playing and starting. He's got a lot of reps, a lot of snaps. I think they drafted him to be a plug and play. You kind of sold me on this too, but I feel like he's going to be like Don Pooney. You throw him in there, rookie training camp comes, it's like, oh, we just might have found our starter. Because last year there was a lot of talk. Don Pooney going to be the guard? Is Spencer Burford? There was a lot of talk. Pooney comes in and he looked like a starter from day one. I think that's going to be Connor Colby, right guard. That's it.
Starter at free safety.
Ooh. I guess Jair Brown.
I'm going to go Richie Grant. I think maybe Jair might play strong safety.
Yeah,
probably get Richie Grant.
That's a tough one. I could see. I got Richie Grant starting as well, so that's a tough one, man. Malik really killed the vibe with that safety position, unless they go sign Julian Blackman.
Would you give Jawan Jennings an extension now, or make him wait it out until next March after the season? What do you want to do?
If you make him wait, he ain't coming back. I would
really.
Pay him,
you think he's going to get that coveted from somebody else? This guy runs in the 4.7s.
If he plays as good as he probably will, if he has a repeat of last year and actually gets the 1,000 yards, because he should have last year. If he gets 1,000 yards this year, he's pricing himself out of the Niners. The teams will pay him handsomely.
So you're saying do it now. Do it now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I had one more for you. Where is it? What's the other question I wanted to throw your way? Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to ask you. Looking at the Niner roster, is there one guy that you think, I'm not saying there's too much pressure on him, but there's a lot of pressure and you're not sure if he can handle it? Who is the one guy that there's going to be additional pressure on that you think maybe can't handle it?
I mean, it's a tough one. It's
a tough one. I was thinking maybe Ricky Pearsall.
I was going to say Ricky Pearsall. I'll give you two. I'm going to give you two. There's going to be Ricky Pearsall on offense because they're going to put a lot of pressure on him. And it's that year two. There's always a guy, year two, we overhype. We're going to be hype beast. Training camp, he's going to make a nice catch, and we're going to hype this man, and he's not going to do anything. That falls in line. I hope that's not the case. I feel Ricky Pearsall on offense, and then on defense, I think we're so want, and this is my guy. I hope I'm wrong. I think Renardo Green on defense. They are counting on him to be the guy.
You think he's not going to be up to it?
I think he will. I'm just saying, if I have to pick a guy on defense, I'm not saying he won't be. I'm saying that's the guy. But
you're thinking he could be a candidate.
He could be a candidate, yeah. But I think he's going to be fantastic. I'm just saying, if I got to pick someone, those are the two guys. And honorable mention. D.
Why do you got to bury him? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. Come on, see?
No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
D. Winters is honorable mention.
Okay. I'll give you some guys that I think. Okay, so Ricky Pearsall. It's a tall ask, man.
I know.
This guy's going to have to be Brandon Aiyuk. That's a tall ask. So I would say I'm concerned that Ricky Pearsall will not be able to be Brandon Aiyuk. That's one.
Okay.
Two, Junior Bergen. I'm skeptical whether a 4-5 guy from Montana can really be a dynamic return guy in the NFL. I have my doubts.
Yeah.
If we go to the defensive side of the ball, I feel pretty good actually on the defensive side of the ball about a lot of these guys. I really do. I don't know if Tatum Bethune can move well enough to stay in the NFL. I think Tatum Bethune might get challenged by Stone Blanton. I think, there's probably not room for two inside backers who don't have great speed but have great instincts. And I want to see if Bethune can get a little faster. Because if he can get a little faster, and guys do get in better shape. If he can show up this summer in awesome shape, get a step faster, I think Tatum Bethune might be a player. Because he's really great as far as his instincts. He knows where to be. It's just a matter of, can he run well enough to not be picked on in pass coverage. And then I guess the other guy I'm a little worried about whether he can do it, and they need him to do it, is Darrell Luter Jr. I'm a big fan. I've interviewed this kid a couple times. I love everything about him. I really do. I love his size, the arm length, the maturity, the tenaciousness, the background, playing a lot of press man at South Alabama for the Jaguars. I like Darrell Luter. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to get on the field.
It's class. That's why.
Well, he had the knee, he had the bone bruise. You're right. He had the bone bruise on the knee the first year, and it took forever to overcome it. But to me, that's the one guy. If he's got Raj, this guy's got the size and the speed and the press man coverage ability to mirror.
He's got the talent. I just don't know.
This guy's got the talent. If he can play well, I mean, that's one guy. To me, that's a big if. If Darrell Luter if we get to camp this summer and Darrell Luter has arrived, that will be a major
You're gonna be hyped.
positive.
You've been touting him. I know you've been touting him.
Yeah. You can see why. You can see why. I mean, the guy's easily their longest, rangiest, longest armed corner. And he's got great movement ability. I mean, he's really moves well. It's just a matter of, can you transition from South Alabama and everything that goes with playing in Mobile versus the Bay Area, the NFL, and everything that goes along with playing in the NFL, and it's fast-paced. And so we'll see. This kid's had a couple years to adjust. I think the talent's there. I think he's going to show. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to give you one more. You said a guy that has a lot of pressure on him. It's CMC, man. Can he stay healthy this season? Bottom line, if he stays healthy, the offense is different. This team can win rattle-out game because he changes the – this guy went and had 4 touchdown game against Arizona. Like, this guy is an absolute game changer. He had, 18 games in a row with touchdown. Like, this guy changes your offense. If he could stay healthy, we know how damn good he is. But there's a lot of pressure on him, Larry, to stay healthy. 100% pressure on CMC to stay healthy. That's it.
Totally. Great call. That's a great call. And we'd be foolish if we didn't throw that one out because to me that's probably the biggest whatever, right, of the year. It's like he's the one guy where he could be there all season and be like the MVP of the league or the offensive player of the year. He's got that kind of ability. Or he could play 2.5 quarters and be done for the year and it's all there. I mean, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying all the options are available. So, yeah, that's a great one. That is an absolute great one. All right, let's hit the supers and then we'll bolt. MSQ, thoughts on what Nick Wright has been saying about Purdy since he got extended, also wins between Indy and OKC. Thoughts? Well, first of all, on Indy, they bounced back tonight. They won by 9 over. They lead 3-1. But Indianapolis, I mean, Halliburton is so overrated. I mean, my God, he doesn't. There's times where he doesn't even look like he wants to shoot. Halliburton has in the last game he was an embarrassment. I don't know if you saw the last game, but they blew
I watched every game.
20-point lead at home. He was terrible. What did he score in the fourth quarter? But what did he score in the fourth quarter of the last game? Nothing. I mean, he literally didn't want to shoot, Rush. I mean, this guy's supposed to be
triple-double today.
He's a great player. He's a great player. I'm just saying, at times it looks like
he's facilitating the ball. He's doing what Larry.
I know, but they need him to shoot. The other guys, I think Pascal Siakam is their best player. I mean, I think he's playing great. I love the way
he just had a 30-point triple-double. Holly's over. Did you get a vote on the NBA players saying that he's the most overrated player in the league? This man is unbelievable.
But I mean, I watched the game, and in the fourth quarter, he was nowhere to be found.
He's been so clutch in the playoffs. This guy?
No, I know, but I mean, I know, but this last game,
come on,
this last game, he did not show at all. Now, I'm not talking about the game tonight. Talk about the game, the last game.
You got to give them their credit. The last game, you got to be.
He didn't want to shoot the ball, Raj. Go look at the fourth quarter box. This is one of the best players on the team. If you're one of the best players on the team in the NBA, you got to shoot the ball. He doesn't shoot the ball. He doesn't want to shoot the ball.
Point guard. Sometimes he wants to facilitate.
I know, but I mean, they need him to shoot. I mean, they need his offense. I mean, they lost to the Knicks at home in Game 3. It was an embarrassing loss.
They won tonight. They're going to win the series.
They won tonight. They're up 3-1.
Points on a triple-double.
What's that?
He scored 32 points on a triple-double tonight.
Yeah, he had a good game tonight, but he was terrible in the last game.
He's been cooking this whole playoffs.
But dude, go watch the last game. He was horrible. He didn't want to shoot.
They're still up.
He did not want to shoot the ball. In game 3, he wanted no part of shooting the ball.
3-1 in the series. They're going to throw a ball. They're going to have a bad game here and there.
Okay.
Hasn't even showed up to the Timberwolves Western Conference Finals.
I just think that, Halliburton had a 32 tonight, 32, 12, and 15, but he needed it because that last game was horrible. I mean, I can bust it out. He had 20 in game 3, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 turnovers. And then the game before that, he had 14. And then the game before that, he had 31. I mean, he's a great young player. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's one of the best 25-year-old players in the league. I'm just saying, in the last game, he looked like he didn't want to shoot the ball. And then the rest of these guys, Neesmith is a great shooter, but he doesn't want to shoot the ball. Miles Turner is a 3-point shooter. Nembhard, I'm not a Nembhard guy. Look at their bench. Obi Toppin, Tony Bradley, TJ McConnell. Mathurin had 20 off the bench tonight. But, I love Siakam, and I think Siakam's fantastic. That was the guy the Warriors should have got. Yeah, but I like the Pacers to finish off the Knicks, and I like OKC to win. And OKC's I think OKC is going to get it done against
sleeping on Indy. He's sleeping on Holly. Don't worry. I love it. When Holly raises up that trophy, I'm going to tell you, Larry, I told you, don't count my boy Holly out. Don't.
And when he doesn't, let's wager.
He does, I'm going to tell you what the Holly.
Let's wager.
Let's do it.
You want to run smack? You run smack, but you're going to have to wager.
I'm game. I'm putting my money.
All right, what are we wagering? I'll take OKC and you can have Indiana. Who do you want? What are we wagering?
What do we want to bet? I don't care. Name it. Your bet is my bet. Whatever.
Okay, how about this? You're going to help me get a couple tickets for training camp.
Yeah.
If OKC wins, I'll buy 2 tickets for you. If OKC wins, you'll buy 2 tickets for me. If Indiana wins, I'll buy 2 tickets for you.
Okay, that's fair. Let's
go. Fair?
Let's go, Holly.
There we go.
You got a wager for the free throw merchant, Larry. Oh my
God. He was terrible last game. Stephen Reynolds. I'm trying to tell my cousin to his fiance's cousin, TJ Hushmanzada, has no room to talk about our boy Purdy since he never won a Super Bowl. Dude, TJ Hushmanzada wasn't even the best receiver on his college team. He wasn't even the best receiver on his college team. Chad Johnson was the best player on that team. MSQ, why does Burrow get a pass when Cincy had a down year and the blame gets put on their defense, but when Purdy has a down year, the blame gets put on him? That's a great point. Everybody talks about bottom line, you got to win in the playoffs. I mean, Joe Burrow wins in the playoffs, but he has no ring. I mean, if we're going to go with TJ Hushmanzada's deal that you're nothing if you don't win a Super Bowl, then Joe Burrow's nothing. Brock's been, they both lost. They're both literally have accomplished the exact same thing. That's why that point was so lame. It's like that can't be the barometer for how you measure it. Come on. So that's just too limited. So what now? Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco are gods because they have this elusive ring, but like Dan Marino's garbage because he doesn't have this ring. It's just too simplistic. MSQ, would Purdy be treated differently if he was a first-round pick or if he was 6'4", 230? Also, as Sherman once asked, why does Purdy get top 10 quarterback criticism, but not the glory and the flowers of a top 10 quarterback? That's a great question. What do you think, Raj?
That is true. I think the big reason, which I said earlier, the fact that he's the last pick in the draft, 7th round pick, which TJ Hushmanzada has no realm to tie. He's a 7th round pick himself. So it's crazy. But I feel like most of the media, they like to use he's a 7th round pick. He's Mr. It's always the narrative surrounding him. But if he was a 1st round pick, if he was the 6'4", 230 prototype guy, people would talk about him a little bit different. But because he just doesn't look like a franchise quarterback. He doesn't have the aura, right? He doesn't have that look.
Aura. Look at that little foreshadowing.
I think because of the fact that, he's not a flashy guy. He never had the fanfare coming into the draft. he was a relatively unknown person coming into the draft, unless you're like a hardcore football, college football fan that knew who Brock Purdy was in Iowa State. Unless you're Tyrese Halliburton, you probably didn't know who he was coming into the draft, right? So I definitely think he would be treated differently if he was like Caleb Williams. But also, it goes two ways. If you're a first-round pick and you're sucking, then they're going to throw the media like, oh, you're underachieving. You got to be, playing better because your draft position was so high. So at the end of the day, media, they play the table on both sides. But I do think if he was having this success and he was a first-round pick, they'd be glazing him up.
I think it has more to do with his stature than his draft position because Tom Brady got respect. And it wasn't like, well, he's gimmicky. No. And it was probably because he was 6'5" and 220 pounds and had a good arm. Where Brock Purdy has kind of a narrow shoulders, and he's thick and he weighs about 225, 230, but it's hard to kind of see that. It's like, unless you're standing right next to him, it's hard to really see that the guy's pretty thick. So, and pretty athletic, and he's pretty quick. So, I mean, it's a combination of he's got pretty good size and speed. I mean, that's really, what do you need to be good in pro sports? I mean, you need a lot of things, but you need usually good size and speed. And even though Brock Purdy doesn't look like a guy who has size and speed, he does. He has both size and speed. He's 230 pounds, and he's, as fast as Tyreek Hill for his first 10 steps. I mean, they're both like 150, 155, 10-yard split. I mean, that's cooking. That's really, really quick. So you see, he's got what Mahomes has. Mahomes is another guy. Mahomes is not fast, but Mahomes is quick. So you can't sack him that well because he can spurt away. And Purdy's the same way. He kind of spurts away. I think it has more to do with his narrow shoulders. Because if he was 6'6", I think people would be like, well, like Tyler Shugg, for example, who's going to be the Saints starting quarterback. He is, he's been in college for 7 years. He's pretty much a developmental quarterback, but he's 6'5" with a gun. And so I think there'll be more people going, hey, if he plays well, they'll be like, he's legit. Because he's 6'5" with a gun, as opposed to 6'1" and change. But I'll say this: there is only about an inch of height, and that's about it between Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers. Wow. Aaron Rodgers is literally 6'2", 228, and Brock Purdy's 6'1 and a half, 225. You know what I mean?
Rodgers was drafted in the first round. See?
Yeah. Yeah, he was. But and they said he was too short. And that's why the Niners took Alex Smith.
Yeah.
How did that go? JC Mania, say his name and he appears. I believe in Brock Purdy. Clap, clap. There you go. Nice. Stephen Reynolds, SGA is doo-doo and fraud, free throw merchant. Oh, come on. SGA is better than Ant.
I hate his guy. I cannot watch an OKC game because their game, I'll give William.
He's good, dude. You don't like SGA? He's the MVP of the league.
Oh, he was 13 for 30 last night. He had 13 free throws. That's why he scores a lot of points. This guy, he runs to the basket.
But Raj, that is kind of his game. He's got this kind of length, and so he can kind of contort his body and kind of hang. He can draw fouls and then still kind of get shots off. I mean, that's kind of what makes him good, isn't it?
He's not good. He's just
you don't like him.
He's a flopper, man. I don't like him.
Really? I like him. I like SGA. I think he seems like a good guy too. MSQ says Halliburton is the Brock Purdy of basketball, since a lot of people like Larry think he's overrated. Thoughts? Also, Wake Up and SFG watch along this week. There'll be a Wake Up on Friday with Damon. And yes, John London and I took last Friday off, but we probably will get together on this Friday for a little bottom of the pint. And thanks to MSQ. Raj, I'll give you the final word. OTAs starting. I'll be down there on Thursday, and then I believe Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. I'll give you the final thought. What are you hoping comes out of this week?
I hope that this week, just health. That's it. I just want to make sure this team continues to stay healthy and keep the vibes going because, again, we don't want any of that drama to kind of follow this team as it did last year. And I'm just hoping that everything goes about and there's no drama, no bad news. I just want to see vibes continuing to go up because this offseason, it has been really good, Larry. And I just hope that it continues to go in the right direction. So, yeah, let's hope for the best.
No major injuries, possibly a rookie or two developed, maybe a surprise addition to the roster, something like that. Any and all those things would be positives. But mostly what I want to see, I want when Shanahan addresses us, I want to see a guy who looks rested, rejuvenated, happy, excited, engaged, energized. I want to see an energized Shanahan that's like, let's bring this on. Yes, nobody thinks we're great this year, but let's go. Let's win it all. I want to see some fire. I want to see some juice. I want to see it from the Niners speed-wise on the field, but I really want to see it or hear it from Shanahan because I think everything stems from him. He's the emotional leader of this team. He's the central figure in this organization. If he is fired up, they got a shot. I think their talent, the demise of their roster talent-wise has been overblown. They lost some guys, but they gained some guys. They'll be fine. It's more about his energy and their vibe. If they come out with lots of energy and a great vibe, with this schedule, I think it's a 12-win, 13-win kind of a year, and I think the Niners are going to win a playoff game, and then we'll see if they can win 2 or 3 and win it all. So we'll see. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades and LearnKey Upskill Academy. The links are in the description below for all of our sponsors. Thanks to Raj. Hit like and subscribe on your way out of the room on both channels. Thanks to Raj. Thanks to all of you. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man.